In this video, we're counting down the best Porsche models to buy in 2025 for every budget. Whether you have under $50,000 or over $100,000, we've got the perfect Porsche for you. These cars are extremely fun to drive and might even grow in value. Let's dive straight into our countdown of the 6 best Porsche models for enthusiasts in 2025. First up, the under $50,000 category. From 1985 to 1989, the Porsche 944 Turbo was a classic Porsche that didn't cost a fortune. This lightweight front-engine, rear transaxle structure makes the car easy to control and gives you great feedback, so you can feel every change you make. If you keep up with the maintenance, a car that's 35 years old or more should be fine. Just plan to replace the water pump and timing belt every 30,000 miles. A lot of 944 turbos were changed or ignored when they were cheap thrills, so it's important to find one that has been well taken care of and is mostly stock. If you do that, you'll have a classic car that works well and has low operating costs, which owners like. The prices of these cars have finally started to go up. Good examples have gone up about 54% since 2019, and now cost around $54,000. However, that's still only half the price of an 80s 911 in similar shape. The 944 Turbo is still overlooked and easy to get. For the money, it gives you a lot of Porsche soul. It probably won't go down in value much more, and it may even slowly go up in value as more people discover its charms. This is the Porsche 911 Carrera 996 from 1999 to 2004. It costs less than $50,000. The 996 generation 911 has been the loser for a long time, but that only makes it better. The 2004 40th Anniversary Edition stands out because it's a limited edition, one-of-a-kind 996 with GT silver paint, a factory power kit with 345 horsepower, and upgrades based on the GT3. Despite this, it's still terribly underrated and can be bought for a reasonable amount of money. Driving a 996 is like driving a classic 911. It has a rear-mounted flat-six engine, a 6-speed manual transmission, and quick handling, but it also has modern comforts. Fans love the fun manual transmission and hydraulic steering. It feels more like a classic 911 than a modern model. The sound is raspy from the flat-six engine, and the suspension is more agile because the 996 is lighter and takes up less space. When it comes to maintenance, the 996 had a bad image because of the famous IMS bearing problem with early water-cooled engines. But don't worry, most cars have had this fixed by now. If not, you should plan to add a better IMS bearing later, just like the early Boxsters did. It's a known weakness that can be fixed quickly as part of normal maintenance. Aside from that, a 996 is pretty tough. Its engine is similar to that of the newer 997. Parts and Porsche expert support are easy to find, and maintenance is the same as for any 20-year-old sports car. Coolant expansion tanks and the occasional drip from the rear main seal are typical things to keep an eye on. If you love Porsche and are having fun with this video so far, drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. Now let's move up to the $50,000 to $100,000 category, the sweet spot for modern Porsches. The 2016 Porsche Cayman GT4 on the 981 chassis is the dream car of current car fans. In every way except the name, the GT4 was a mid-engine 911. It used the balanced Cayman base and added a 385 horsepower, 3.8-liter flat-six engine from the 911 Carrera S. It was only available with a 6-speed manual transmission and chassis tuning that was geared toward the track. This makes for a great driving experience with razor-sharp handling, friendly steering, and an addicting high RPM howl from the big, naturally aspirated engine behind you. In this day and age of automatic transmissions, the fact that it only has a manual gearbox makes purists happy. The GT4's responsive and well-balanced mid-engine handling make it stand out on back roads or at a track day. It's often called one of the most fun Porsches to drive, no matter how much it costs. A current Porsche is easy to take care of. The engine and gearbox are strong, and problems don't happen very often unless they're abused. You can expect higher running costs if you track it often. Brake pads, tires, and the clutch will need to be replaced more often with heavy use, but there aren't any big reliability issues because it's based on proven 911 parts. Many GT4 owners say that their cars are rock solid, even when they drive them hard, and only need regular repair. The 2016 GT4 has been a rock star in terms of value. It cost around $85,000 when it was first released and hasn't really gone down in value since. Today, a clean, low-mileage GT4 costs around $90,000 to $100,000 on the used market. The 981 GT4's prices have gone down a little in 2025, since the 718 GT4 and GT4 RS are now on the market. They've dropped about 5 to 10% in the last few months, but don't expect them to go down even more. Fans really want this one-of-a-kind Porsche, and since the next generation of the Cayman will be electric, the value of a manual, high-rev flat-six Cayman from the last generation could stay very high. In fact, experts say that 981 GT4s that are offered for between $90,000 and $110,000 are likely near the bottom of the curve for how much they're worth losing value. The GT4 might even go up in value over time because it is an analog car and is known as one of the best driving cars of its time. The 2011 Porsche 997 Carrera GTS, which costs between $50,000 and $100,000, is another great have-it-all 911 that doesn't get much attention. In the 997 model, the GTS was the best Carrera. It was basically a Carrera S with the optional power kit that gave it 408 horsepower, the wider rear fenders that gave it a turbo look, and a lot of performance features that came as standard, like sport exhaust and PASM. The 2011 GTS has near GT3 levels of performance with more everyday ease. It comes with a 6-speed manual transmission and rear-wheel drive, which is best for pure. It's pure 911 bliss to drive, with a charismatic 3.8-liter flat-six engine that loves to rev to 7,300 RPM, handling that feels great, and a chassis that's both quick and stable. A great dual-purpose sports car, it's just as happy tearing through canyons as it is going on a road trip. Many people think that the 997.2 GTS will become a classic in the future because it was the last 911 with hydraulic steering and only a few were made. The 997 GTS needs the same maintenance as any late 2000s 911. It is usually reliable, the 997.2 engine doesn't have any IMS problems, and service costs are fair, but keep an eye on normal wear items. With the direct injected flat 6, you won't have to worry about IMS like you did with older engines. However, some 997.2 engines had rare cases of cylinder scoring. A good pre-purchase inspection will give you peace of mind. Otherwise, it's mostly just regular maintenance, like changing the fluids and spark plugs every 4 years, and maybe the clutch if the car has a lot of miles on it. Many GTSs came with the PDK, but the ones that people want are the ones with 3 pedals. The good news is that 997 prices have been going up. They went down when new models came out, but they didn't stay down for long. Now they're slowly going back up, because the GTS is a unique model. It has kept its value especially well. In the US market, a 997 GTS costs between $80,000 and $95,000 as of 2025. Hagerty lists good examples at about $70.5K, and low-mileage prime examples are getting close to 6 figures. Because it is so desirable, it might even make it into our next tier if it is kept in very good condition. Still, as a 911 for fans, it's a lot of fun and could be a great purchase. It's newer and easier to live with than air-cooled cars from the 1990s, but it's also more raw and rare than recently made 911s. It's the right mix of the two. Stepping into the 6-figure realm, let's look at the original 911 Turbo, codenamed 930 from 1978 to 1989. This is the poster car that earned the nickname Widowmaker, and it's every bit as wild and exciting as that suggests. When you connect a single turbocharger to the standard air-cooled flat 6, the 930 gives you an addicting Jekyll and Hyde experience. It's pretty calm around town, but then it gives you a huge boost that can throw off even the best drivers. That old-school turbo lag and kick is what makes it so exciting and important to honor. Few cars give you such a rush of energy. It feels like you're driving in the 1980s, with no electronic babysitters to keep you safe. It takes some thought to shift the 4-speed manual, only the 5-speed in the 89. The unassisted steering is heavy at low speeds but communicative when hustling, and the rear engine weight bias will credit smooth drivers and punish careless ones. To sum it up, it's a difficult but incredibly enjoyable car for fans who enjoy analog character. Having a 930 turbo today does mean accepting a machine that is more than 40 years old. To keep it going well, maintenance is very important, and so are proper inspections. The 3.3-liter engine is stronger than the 3.0-liter engine that came before it, but it can still be broken. Cracked head pins that leak oil are a common problem with older air-cooled engines. Worn valve guides, blue smoke when the car slows down, and worn-out original turbo parts are also common problems. Many 930s have had modern turbochargers like the K27 put in when the old ones broke. These can make the cars easier to drive, but enthusiasts might still like the stock ones. The K-Jetronic fuel injection is sensitive to how long the fuel is stored and the quality of the fuel. Old gas or not using the car very often can clog the system, so it's best to drive it often or use a fuel booster. Plan for the usual maintenance that a classic 911 needs, like adjusting the valves and tuning the ignition. Also, keep an eye out for any rust in the frame, even though many 930s had very nice lives. If you take good care of your 930, it's pretty stable. Fans say that with regular upkeep, they can go hundreds of thousands of miles. It costs a lot to get parts and professional service, but you're keeping a piece of history living. When we talk about history, the 930 is already a blue-chip gem. The 930 911 sells for an average of $134,408, which makes it one of the most expensive classic 911 types. Most good 930s sell for between $100,000 and $250,000, but they can go as high as $400,000 or more for truly unique versions. These cars have made their place as highly sought-after classics of Porsche's history. The 930 Turbo will always be sought after because it was the first production 911 Turbo and an icon of the 1980s. Its value is likely to stay steady to go up. If you have the money, this is both a thrilling ride and an important piece to add to any Porsche collection. Don't worry, it may try to kill you, but you'll smile the whole time. For those who really love driving, our last pick in the $100,000 plus price range is perfect. Many people say that the 997 GT3, which was made from 2007 to 2011, is the best modern 911 for enthusiasts. It was made to give racing fans thrills. It has a naturally aspirated flat-six engine, the famous Mezger engine that screams to 8,400 RPM, a 6-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, and suspension that has been tuned for the track. There are no turbos or other extras, just pure feel. The 997 GT3 was the last GT3 with fully analog hydraulic steering and few driving aids. It's also smaller and lighter than cars made today. The GT3 is amazing on a road or track with lots of turns. The responsiveness and sound of the engine at the top of the rev range are legendary. The engine has between 415 and 435 horsepower, based on the 997.1 or 997.2 version, and the chassis gives race car-like feedback and grip. It's kind of like driving a street-legal cup car. It makes you want to drive faster and more precisely, and it awards you for doing so. The GT3 is known to be tough and dependable, even when used on the track. Despite its tough personality, the Mezger Flat 6 doesn't have any IMS problems and comes from Porsche's Le Mans program, so it's strong. However, it needs more frequent oil changes and valve tweaks if it gets tracked. The 997 GT3 will cost more to maintain than a regular Carrera because it needs things like ceramic composite brakes if it has them, or regular brake fluid changes and alignment tweaks for track work. However, owners say that as long as you keep up with service, the car is solid. Many older cars have been through a lot of hard use, so check the engine bearings and suspension bushings. Plan to spend a few $1,000s a year on maintenance, especially if you do driver's events. But there is no car like a GT3. It feels unique and was made to be abused. In the last 10 years, these cars have become much more valuable as collectors have learned they are the only ones of their kind left in the world. A few years ago, you could get a 997 GT3 for less than $100,000. These days, you have to pay at least $120,000 for a well-kept example with low miles, and 4.0 RS models are much more expensive. In fact, a 2008 GT3 Club Sport sold at a sale in April 2025 for $128,000. The 997 GT3 is very valuable because it was only made in small numbers and has become a legend. However, many owners still drive their cars the way they were meant to be driven, because that's what the car is for. Values should stay high in the future because, unlike younger 911 GT3s, the 997 has a classic look that won't be copied. People want this car because it's the last manual GT3 with the Mezger engine, and it's a great car to drive. A nice car is an investment that will give you a lot of pleasure for years to come. If you ever want to sell it, you can probably get at least what you paid for it. In the end, the 997 GT3 is more about how much fun it is to drive than how cool it looks. It gets respect, but people love it most for how it drives. There you have it, the 6 best Porsche models to buy in 2025, across every budget range. Tell us in the comments, which of these Porsches would you choose to put in your garage if money was no object? Thanks for watching this video.